This morning we read Jeremiah chapters 16 and 17. And at first, Jeremiah is instructed not to marry or to have children while he lived in Jerusalem. There was coming a crisis. Reminds me of 1 Corinthians chapter 7, where the early church limited their behavior in that regard because of the crisis, the persecution that they were going through. And there are times when the church is called to sacrifice the natural pleasures, the natural way of living in this world for the kingdom. The kingdom must come first. And here they were, Jeremiah was told not to marry or have sons and daughters. Is marrying and having sons and daughters a good thing? Yes, it is. Is it a blessing from the Lord? Yes, it is. But Jeremiah was told to limit that behavior because of the coming crisis, just as they were in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. The kingdom comes first. Eternity comes before now. He was told as well that he was to symbolize God's wrath with the people by not mourning with them and not feasting with them, to show that the Lord was bringing both disaster and apparent blessing on them, but there was coming an ultimate disaster. So actually a wedding feast was nothing to celebrate because it was going to end in tears. There was coming a persecution. In fact, it wasn't really a persecution, it was a time of judgment because they'd been unfaithful to the Lord. And there's much in this passage, but here's one of the things. The Lord was going to bring them back. He was going to punish them and afflict them, that he might refine them and bring them back. And the people went, at the word of Jeremiah, the people were taken into Babylonian captivity. And though the people of Israel were oftentimes not really faithful to the calling of God, they never again worshipped idols. That was refined out of them by the Babylonian captivity. God sometimes brings tough times into our life to refine out of us sins and things that are displeasing to him. There's a reflection of Psalm 1 in chapter 17, verse 7. But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. They shall be like a tree planted by the water, that send out its roots by the stream. Does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. If you compare that with Psalm 1, it's very similar in its language. The heart is deceitful above all things. Let's understand the nature of our hearts. Our hearts are deceitful above all things. They will tell us that right is wrong. They will convince us that our thoughts are God speaking to us. Our hearts will lead us astray. We must have our hearts changed and renewed by the power of God. We must daily come before him and say, renew my heart, check my heart, search my heart, see if those things I desire are right. Lord, search my heart and examine my mind. We pray God will keep his word to us and do that we may live right. Because unless we get our heart and mind right, we will never live right before him. The Lord bless you today. Amen.